Hello. How's everybody doing? How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How has your week been? Hello to Mark and hello to Ish. How you guys doing? How's things? Hello Yanazi. How you doing, man? How's things? Apologies for the email. That always pops up. But yeah, how's things? How's your week been? Hello Jamie. How's your week been? Mine's been relatively busy. I've been busy with tech videos, busy with car videos, from as you hopefully would have seen already, and yeah, lots of things in the middle. Hello, Michael. Hey, man. How's the battery of ailments and troubles? Yeah, huge. I think it's far too hot. I think that's a given. Um, but yeah, it's far too hot. I do have a fan sitting just there blowing on me. I do have an ice pack that I'm currently sitting on top of, and it's still too hot. So yeah. Hello, Stefania. How you doing, man? Hello, Simon. How you doing? How's things? What's the weather like in Australia? I imagine because of the seasons, it might actually be hotter here. Be funny. I ordered an Ultra NHU12S. Is it good for the i7 7700? Yes. It's a good cooler. It is one of the technically slightly smaller ones in the grand scheme of things, but it should do a good job for sure. It's cold. It's not here. Oh dear. Probably doesn't help that the houses in Britain are designed to retain as much heat as possible, and so it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. So even if it is only 32 degrees outside, it's 35, 36, 37 inside, and that's painful. And in fact, physics would tell you that that's the temperature at which your body stops being able to effectively dissipate heat. So yeah. But yeah, I've been busy making this little thing. This is as the name may suggest, you might just be able to see, open source response time tool. And what this is an almost finished, as you can see by the fact that there is actually an Arduino in there, and soon to be a little sensor on the bottom, and a button in it, and a lid that slides off. Where are we at? Come on. And a lid that slides off. And then inside, if I cover my face, camera should track that. That is a 24-bit 2000 sample per second analog to digital converter. Under there is an Arduino Pro Micro, little switch, and a little sensor. So yeah. I saw your Twitter. Somebody been naughty again. So the good news is that I told them to, well, I told them that what they were asking for was a sponsored video, and if they want to do a sponsored video, I'm happy to do one. It would be a showcase, not a review. Or they can drop their requirements, and I'll do a standard, impartial review. Unsurprisingly, they dropped the requirements and are studying with the product. No strings attached, so that's good. It's my hypothesis for why this may be more prevalent has to do with the word influencers I don't consider myself necessarily an influencer. Obviously, to some degree, someone who reviews products will have some level of influence on your buying decisions. So, from a technical sense, technically I am to a degree. But an influencer to me is someone who is a, let's say, personality, who it's their job to influence you more wholeheartedly than giving just an honest evaluation of a product necessarily. So yeah, from that regard, as more influencers as opposed to reviewers come to market, more of those people who don't necessarily have, let's say, journalistic integrity in mind, may be more willing to accept those sorts of agreements, and therefore it emboldens the companies to do it more often, and then it's only when they reach someone who does have journalistic integrity that they then have to go, oh, right, that's, yeah, fair enough. Kind of catch them out. What graphics card would be good and not bottlenecking with an i5-11400F? So the answer is most graphics cards, I'll be honest. The 11400F is a pretty decent CPU, and the sort of balance, I would probably say a 3060, maybe a 3070, or the equivalent AMD card, before I would really consider too much of an issue. To a degree, as always, you can, with that 3060 or 3070, you could drop in the 10700 or even the 10600K, and you might get a bit more performance, but the amount of performance that you would get would be relatively minuscule in comparison to the price that you would pay for that higher end CPU. So yeah, 3060, 3070, give or take. I make my dog sit before I give him dinner. Woohoo, I'm an influencer. Nice. Mike, a reviewer is informing and an influencer is trying to promote a positive brand image. True. I think that's a good way to look at it, although a reviewer can still offer or create a positive brand image even from an honest review, for example. What a chat. I can't call myself an influencer. My last keeps saying no. Nice. So yeah. What have I been up to this week? I don't remember. I was testing a monitor today. What did I do? I don't remember. Oh yes, lots of mad at laptops. So actually that's the point. Who have you watched the video yesterday on the Nvidia laptop naming madness? Who's seen it? The line between reviewer and influencer gets narrow in some places. That it does. That it does. What's better than an Ultra NH-U12S or U14S? The NH-D15? But yeah. But yeah, on the RTX laptop naming side of things, what do you think about the name, like RTX 3080 laptop? Because to me that's potentially what you might say is purposefully disingenuous, because it doesn't make sense, right? Like, it reads as RTX 3080 based laptop rather than RTX 3080 mobile, which would be a clear indication that you're talking about the graphics card and not RTX 3080 laptop. And I think, as Ish said in the comments, even 3080L would make sense, 3080M. Anything like that would be, you know, a nice clarification. And I appreciate that, you know, the average laptop buyer won't necessarily equate a desktop 3080 and a laptop 3080, but they are selling the same. They're selling two very different products under the same name, and that's not great. The mobile chip needs an actual differentiation. I agree. I agree indeed. It's playing on the brand, much like if you got a Ford RS Cosworth, you would expect a Cosworth tuned engine, not an old Capri Pinto. Yeah, exactly. That's what I would. That's what's kind of getting at, is that, like, if this was in the car world and, you know, you're buying the same car but there are different specs, but no one actively quotes which spec you could be buying, that's a problem that should be solved, but, you know, currently isn't. And then on top of that, even if you agree with the naming scheme, or you can at very least understand the naming scheme, that naming scheme isn't even, you know, displayed anywhere. I actually guided a non-techie round a few online retailers, and she couldn't differentiate between products and got really confused. Yeah, that's fair, because the video that I finished editing this morning is a TDP comparison between a 3080 laptop with an 80 watt TDP and a 3080 laptop with a 115 watt TDP. So it is, the performance gap is different, but it's not that much different, and that's a problem, because that is not only another factor that you need to consider. Not only do you need to consider, you know, the usual things of CPU, memory, RAM, storage, display, IO, battery, and everything else under the sun, and the graphics card, but you now need to know that it is the 80 watt version versus the 115 watt version, and what that actually means for performance, so that you can make a sensible buying decision. And it's really complicated at the moment. And beyond extra information from us reviewers, I'm not sure what you could do to solve that. Hello Mark. I did see your email. Very nice pictures. Nice car. It's looking sweet. And I have those ATE ceramic pads up in a browser window, so whenever I end up needing some new pads, those will be the ones that I head for. Derek, I would somewhat agree with you, which is not a good position to be in. And BMW did a similar thing with 320D that had a 1.8D engine. Yeah, I seem to remember that. I think Audi changed from... So my S4 is an Audi A4 S4 3.0 TFSI, right? But they changed it to 30 TFSI, and then they changed it so that the number means nothing. And then it's like in the A1 you can now get a 45 TFSI, but that's not a 4.5 litre, you know, forced induction petrol engine. That is still a 2 litre turbo, but it just happens to be slightly better than the other 2-liter turbo that they run with less boost or a smaller turbo or whatever. So yeah, I can see where they were heading with it, but it's also frustrating. Hello, DP Gamer Extreme. Nice. Can you review the Acer Predator Helios 300 3060? My good man, you should check the channel before asking, because that came out literally last Friday. But the it had an up to 105 watt TDP when I reviewed it, and it's now gone back. So if they have updated that, unfortunately, I can't test it. But it performed excellently beyond the CPU being last gen and terrible by comparison. But yeah, it's good. I've got a Nitro 5 with the 5600H, the Ryzen, and a 3060 in it as well, on its way. So that'll be interesting to check out. There we go. Do you know how to add NFC to an Android phone that doesn't have it? So you can buy external sensors. You can buy the sorts of ones that stick onto the back and plug in via the USB port and can give pass-through, or just fill it up and you just take it off. So you can. However, the implementation of it varies, and it will also depend on software side how the OS handles it, because in Android, generally speaking, it's the operating system that handles NFC, whereas if you're adding it on after the fact, the operating system version that you have for your phone won't necessarily have recognize it on its own that's there, and yeah. Michael, I'm pretty sure that the U12S uses a 120mm fan and the U14S uses a 140mm fan, so a slightly bigger fan. As the 1200 is out in the wild now for around $1,000 US. Yeah, I haven't seen the specs. I very briefly saw a headline that there were some leaks about it. What's the I mean the rumors for it have been circulating for a while that obviously Alder Lake S is hybrid design, Gracemont and Golden Sunny Cove, one of those Cove cores, and yeah. I think I saw some headline about it's beating the 5950X. Golden Cove, that's one. Because it's Cypress Cove that's in the current ones, that's it. So yeah, I saw that there was a headline that it beat the 5950X, but there was no indication of power draw, and I think that was in Cinebench as well. Killer of a chip. Nice. Is there any indication of power draw? Because that would be the main thing, is that you can make the cores, you can put as many in as you want, and you can make it as insane as you want, but if it draws 300 plus watts when the 5950X draws 140, I think that the 3070 is the best laptop GPU for this gen at the full power of a desktop 3060. Yeah, give or take. I mean, the 3060 is actually remarkably good, and depending on the configuration, you can actually get a 3060 that outperforms or matches 3070. So, yeah, the performance that I've been seeing out of laptops recently is weird. Power draw is 150 to 170. Interesting. And it beats the 5950 in Cinebench R23. Interesting. Do you know how many how much faster, essentially? What would be a good GPU for around $200 for a gaming system for my son? Something to play less graphically intense games. And I think there's some answers which include a 1050 Ti or 1650 Super. Yeah, that's a good shout. I think if there's anything else that would be in that price range, in theory, in a normal GPU market, something like a 1060, pushing on, if you were lucky, maybe a 1070, but what you got? In current market, that might be more difficult. Yeah. IPC is about 10 to 12% higher than a 5950. Interesting. I think it'll be interesting. I've said that word a lot recently. To see, because obviously the 5950 will, by the time that the 12900K comes out officially, that will be over a year old, I want to say, or closing on, yeah, about a year old. So they would be due a new release, which would be, well, interesting. Yeah, I'll be intrigued. There you go. There's a different word. To see how that plays out in what will probably be, I would assume, the January to March range. Hello, Chris. How you doing, man? Those things. And the 45 TFSI is now 1.2 liter 4-cylinder turbo with a mild hybrid in the A1. Nice. Enro, no worries. Yeah, it would be nice. I think they are coming down slowly as the stock of new cards is becoming more available, and therefore more new cards means more people can start shifting their old cards, which then means higher supply of old cards, which then means supply is closer to meeting demand, therefore price drops. Do you have the 12900K in hand, Simon? Welcome to Andy's Thesaurus show. I think I'd be a broken thesaurus if that was the if that's what we're doing. Same Thursday, work as usual, but got my striped shirt today. Nice. Also ordered an iFixit kit for my birthday, the Protecto kit. Nice one. Is mine still down there? No, it's upstairs because I was doing things. Yeah. What's the desktop equivalent to a 140 watt 3070 laptop GPU? Well, as far as I'm aware, there isn't a 140 watt. It's peaks. It's 115 with boost up to 130. However, the answer to that is the desktop 3080, or the laptop 3080 that I tested in the Zephyrus Duo has a roughly matches a desktop RTX 3060 Ti. So you would assume that the 3070 would be a desktop 3060, give or take. Gamers Next has mentioned there were some engineering samples of the 1200K floating around, but where does one find a motherboard or DDR5 RAM for it? Good question. I assume you happen to need to have some friends, which I assume if Simon has one and is testing one, he must have. I assume, William, that's the Nitro 5 with the 5600X. Oh, the Lenovo Legion 5. So that looks fine. The storage space might be a little on the minimal side, personally, but that's gonna be decent enough. Like I said, I've got a Nitro 5 on the way shortly with pretty much exactly that spec, so I think that will be a very similar performance, I would assume. A Tyrannosaurus Rex. God. Oh dear. So sad the DR5 is dying. DR4, sorry. Christ. It does feel quite soon, doesn't it? Weird. And yet, feels very long. Parallax. 12th gen will support DDR4 still. I have heard that one. Much in the same way that I think Skylake supported DDR3 and DDR4. It was just very rare to find a Skylake board that you could drop one of those chips in and it used DDR3 instead of DDR4. It was generally quite a wholesale shift to the next market. Can we have triple channel on desktop, please? This isn't 1336 days. We've moved on. Hello Phil, how you doing, man? Those things. I built 2 PCs with DDR3 today. Nice. What spec? I seem to be going through, let's say, mild stages with content, where companies only care about sending me one category of product at a time. So it has been laptops, as you may or may not have noticed, and there are still more laptop videos to go. But the next one I think is going to be monitors, because I've got one that I have filmed fully and I need to edit tomorrow. I have another monitor that arrived today, and I think there might be another 1 or 2 monitors on the way. Yeah, it's apparently things are coming in waves. I will have a video on the open source response time tool, which I suppose is technically monitors, but it's a project that I made, so it's, you know, cool. In the not too distant future, once it's done. But I'm currently struggling to work out how to do something that would be very simple to do in JavaScript, but is apparently very difficult to do in C++ on an Arduino because it doesn't support deleting objects from arrays. Woo! So I'm working that one out. I think I've figured it out, but fine. Hello Joe, how you doing, man? Nice things. I know. I did a podcast last night that I'll link to when I'm in it. But it did very much. It was at the same sort of time, so it did very much feel like the I had done the stream, and so when I realized that today was Thursday and that it was stream day, I was quite confused for a bit. And it felt like there hadn't been enough time since I've sat here, talked into this microphone, and looked at that camera. Everything is hard in C++. Yes, needlessly. Like, JavaScript has a lot of problems being weak typed, but it's also really convenient and good and quite easy, and you don't have to convert everything. Nice. And also, why does C++ have a header file where you declare variables and you declare the functions, and then you have a code file that actually like does stuff with the things that you define in the header file? Like, why is it not all just one file? Uh, uh, I hate the price of DDR3. I'm after 16 gigabytes and it's around 100 Australian dollars. True. True. JS wouldn't be everywhere if it didn't work. Doesn't mean it's good. Yes, that's true. That's the problem. Is that it's very easy and it's very quick, but when it turns out that you do need to specify a type or cast, a variable type, or you're putting what it has decided is an integer into a string or a string into an integer, and then everything breaks, and you have no idea why until you've put 400 different console.log statements to work out why. Then it takes a while. R23 27,000 point score, 406 watts for the whole PC, monitor, speakers, etc. For whatever reason, it says 0 watts for the CPU. Interesting. That's that is certainly decently low, and you would assume that is well, idle power consumption. So your monitor is, I would assume, at most 90 watts there. Factor in the power supply losses, yeah, 150, 200, give or take, for the CPU, makes sense. Amazon is giving away free Battlefield 1 game codes for Origin. Never played it before. Nice. The war stories are quite nice, or not necessarily nice, they're war, but quite good to play on. And yeah, multiplayer not so much, but will a 3060 Ti run dual monitors smoothly? Yes. Yes, it will. If you're talking about playing games on 2 monitors, one, don't. It's not a very nice experience. You need 3. But if you're talking about having a primary monitor to play games on and a secondary monitor to have Discord or whatever else, yes, that's fine. Having Prime also gives you access to give a sub to your favorite creator if you're on Twitch. Yes. Does the Amazon version brick the GPU? Ha ha ha. Not quite. I did see that story. And as Stefano mentioned on Twitch, the 3090 is melting, or literally melting, because of a lack of frame rate limit or something like that, on the new game from Amazon. Joe, the stories of war, death, and misery are nice. Andrew. God damn it. I said don't quote me on that. What was I gonna say? Enjoying the NVIDIA video. Enjoyed the NVIDIA video. Thank you very much. Have you had any heat from it at all? I have not. I haven't spoken to my NVIDIA rep yet. I would assume he's watched it. But yeah, I was speaking to him before it, and I was, let's say, made him aware of my intentions. So, at very least, he is not, he should not be surprised by the content, which is normally a good start. Jokes aside, it's on NVIDIA. No game should be able to break the graphics card. Yes, that is true. Like, sure, the game should be fixed for sure, but yes, there should not be a situation where, for whatever reason, the graphics card allows itself to overvolt so hard that it burns itself to death. Yeah, that should be a firmware level protection, let alone drivers. So when does your air conditioner review drop to mix up the content? Yeah, I need one of those. I haven't bought one yet. Definitely going to get one at some point. Was the fan I ordered good? Yes, it's a good cooler. It is a good match for your CPU. What inspired you to be a tech YouTuber? The long story short is that me and a few friends were had all built gaming PCs, and the way we knew how to do that was watching people like Linus at NCIX Tech Tips, and we thought it looked fun. We started making videos. Terrible videos. But yeah, that was pretty much it. And then worked out that it could be a monetizable thing, something that do more seriously, and I went from there. And it'll be 10 years in February, actually, since I started making content, which is mad. Technically 10 years in March. I think it was the 3rd of March, so the first time I actually uploaded anything. Must be nice and easy to learn how to make PCs from YouTube. I haven't broken a PC yet. Like, you know, broken some individual parts, but I haven't bent any CPU pins while putting them in. I've bent them in other ways. But I've done okay, apparently. So yeah. So Andy, this AC thing is another episode of Andy's crappy carpentry corner. Well, thank you very much. And the answer is yes. But no, seriously, it's too hot in here. First video is how to run hybrid physics. That's not the first video. That was a couple of months afterwards. The first video is currently private because I didn't know what copyright was, and I put Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven in the background. Didn't go down very well with the copyright system, and so it got privated quite quickly. I've built PCs on carpet and still had everything work. I'll be honest, I have too. In fact, I have carpet upstairs, so I build most PCs on carpet. And yes, they still work remarkably. What monitor arm supports 24 kilograms? An essentialist says, why would you need 24 kilograms? Are you holding up a monitor and a baby? That is true. I assume you're talking about a crazy ultrawide, like the Odyssey G9 or something like that. And the answer is, honestly, I'm not sure. You would want to, like, you're going to be looking at the some high-end options for that kind of weight, because most if I want to say are in the sort of 10 to 15 kilogram range. I watched my first video a bit ago, and wow, I sounded like a robot. The first video on the Fish channel before that, about 11 years later, I had no clue. Indeed. The copyright system in YouTube is, I'm going to say, terrible. Yes. I got a strike on my lap on the Nürburgring when a rally art sticker overtook me. Wow. That's... yeah. So here's a fun fact. YouTube often asks creators to go through little surveys where they're going to be launching some new feature, new product, whatever, and they want creators to have a look over it, see what they think, and give some feedback before it goes live. And I did one of those surveys not too long ago. and it was a what they were planning on doing was offering a music licensing service feature where there was a couple of different options and variants. Right, so to give you context, YouTube already has a royalty-free library where you can go to that library and download a very wide range of tracks and sound effects, all for free. Some of the tracks require you to credit the artist, which is perfectly fair enough, and some of the tracks don't, right? But it's still free, royalty free, you won't get a copyright strike, all good stuff. Now, if you aren't happy with that library, there are a number of other third-party sound libraries. One of the ones that I use is Epidemic Sound, but that is an even larger library, which generally doesn't need attribution because you often pay for that service, but it's something like $10 a month, so with no extra fees for usage, right? So pretty decent. What YouTube wanted to do was offer a service where you could have varying levels of sort of popularity of songs. So there are categories like background music that your audience will never have heard of, contains no vocals, like is purely, elevator music, all the way up to the latest pop songs that your audience will definitely know and have heard of before and recognize. And what they were planning on doing was varying prices for those categories. It started at $5 for a track that is purely background music, up to $500 to license a top 10 pop song, right? Now, $500 for a top 10 pop song is actually pretty fantastic in the world of music licensing, which is kind of insane, but there you go. But the thing is that those prices were per use. They weren't you to buy a license for you to use that song whenever. That was a per video license. So if you, I do roughly 10-minute videos, right? So most songs are about 3 minutes. So if I wanted those background tracks to cover the length of my video, I would be paying $15 per video just for background music that I could possibly already get for free through the YouTube library, or get for $10 a month with unlimited usage from someone like Epidemic Sound. They then offered, and this is the best bit, 2 other monetization options. So instead of paying outright for that song, you could optionally have them take 30% of the revenue from that video, like ad revenue from that video, forever, or they could withhold all of your ad revenue until you paid off the debt for using that whatever song you picked or songs you picked, and then you would get your full cut, but only after they had taken their money already. What? Like, that 30% cut, how can you justify taking 30% of someone's ad revenue for a video, which is one of the key sources of money for someone who it's career to make YouTube videos, for a single song? Like, how can you attribute 30% of the value of that video to that single song? Like, that just doesn't compute. And again, the fact that you can get, at very least, those non-pop songs or non-popular songs, like, why would you ever use that unless it's for a very specific, you want that fancy pop song and that's it? I can't understand. And it also infuriates me when you get, one of those, it's not a copyright strike, but they're claiming your ad revenue, and they're claiming all, like, 100% of your ad revenue, even if it's you're, driving somewhere and a song comes on the radio and you can't mute it fast enough, they would still they would still take 100% of your revenue from that. Like, how can you justify that? Licenses for use of artistic content are traditionally single-use options and expensive. Yes, which is kind of insane. It's such a different monster nowadays. I was taking 125 to 250 pounds a month, and I hit double over Christmas. Now I hit 125 every 6 months. Yeah. Has YouTube ever flagged music from the third-party service you use? No, that's one of the nice things, is that the third-party service integrates with the Content ID system to make sure that as long as you have linked your YouTube channel to their platform, you never get a strike or a claim or anything. You never have to deal with any of it. I had a private video get blocked worldwide for using a Beethoven song. He's been dead for 300 years. True, I think the excuse that they would use there is that someone playing Beethoven song, even if the song itself is now royalty free, it's in public domain, the performance of it isn't, or may not be. Do monitors affect performance? Only so much in as much as you can see, and if you're using adaptive sync, that will obviously adaptive sync and VSync, you'll then be capping at your the monitor's refresh rate. So then, yes, but otherwise they don't affect how fast your graphics card can render the frames. Floatplane, I would love to, except when I tried to sign up to Floatplane, they told me that I was too small, and they said that in our experience, channels who try to monetize too early get hurt by that stretch for monetization. Cool, thanks. Ish, I would very much hope that's not the case, but I can also see it happening, so... But then at that point, you may as well just buy YouTube ads and have people watch your video that way. Like Facebook, which is terrible. I'll get my people to talk to like. I assume that means Luke. And sweet, thanks. The percentage model would be more beneficial for people who are more supported by Patreon subs. Yeah, it's still a lot, I think. YouTube likes to push kids' family channels, toy videos, diss tracks, and drama. Yes. Some content just seems to do awfully on ad revenue, so 30% of NAFOL wouldn't care much. Yes. Yeah. That's valid. If you knew that you wouldn't be getting $500 worth of ad revenue from a video if you were going to use one of those pop songs, but yeah, that's fair. But it just, especially for the for those lower end options, it seems insane. To be fair, if Floatplane doesn't change its subscription model, I doubt I will resubscribe. What do you mean? Like, as in subscribing to the individual creators rather than to like Floatplane as a platform, or something else that I don't understand? Even YouTube is unwatchable with plenty of ads, multiple ads one after the other, unskippable. DNS ad filtering isn't cancelling them anymore. PC's ad free, phone is ad free, but when I watch it on the TV, there's more. Yeah, that's the thing. And actually, I found that some ads have still been sneaking through even on my PC, where I do have, let's say, many levels of filtering there. So yeah, and then you get to, you know, watching it on the TV or whatever, and it's frustrating. Yeah. I actually don't use Brave. I use every other browser apart from Brave. I use Firefox, Chrome, Opera GX, Opera, and Vivaldi. Floatplane's model is the same as Twitch's, and that seems to do quite well. Yeah. If you paid X, then pay the content creators a percentage of things you actually watch. If you paid some amount of pounds and then it paid... Right, so you want the subscription service to act more like Brave than you want it to act more like Twitch. So you want to be able to put, you know, money in your account on Floatplane, and then that money would be dispersed based on which videos you watch, but then that would give you access to every creator's content rather than subscribing to a single creator instead. I get ya. I get you. It's an interesting model, I suppose, for that sort of platform. I can understand why they wanted to do it as an individual subscription to each creator. I can also understand why that method is perhaps better for viewers, because you might not necessarily need as much. You might not necessarily be spending as much while still supporting the creators that you're actually watching, but if you don't get to watch them, then that kind of balances things out for you, the end viewer. I can understand that, for sure. I'm an OG to Firefox since the first version of Chrome. Terms and conditions stated they can access every email sent using Chrome. They changed it shortly after, but still, thanks but no thanks. Nice. I think I've been using Chrome and Firefox for pretty much since I've had a PC, actually. Yeah. A long time. Nice one, Simon. My only suggestion for YouTube is to change the name of their trending to WTF is this. Yeah, that's probably fair. I'll be honest, I don't look at trending. I can't imagine that I'll ever be on the page, so I don't watch pop content, let's say. So yeah, I don't look at that tab. Trending is an absolute terror. Yes, yes it is. It is indeed. So tomorrow's video is another laptop video. Sorry. But it is an interesting one because it's the Asus Strix Scar 15, which on paper looks very similar to the Asus Strix G15. And in the flesh, it's very similar to the G15, because they're the same chassis, but the Scar is basically the fancier version, so it has an optical mechanical clicky keyboard, a 3080 instead of a 3060 or 3070 as its max, and a 1500HX CPU, and the faster 1x8 RAM. And a couple of other little perks and features that you might like. So that video's out tomorrow. Check it out. And for the YouTube members, there will be a ad-free video because there'll be a sponsor. Weirdest thing is using YouTube before you've logged in. It's creepy, because that's what a lot of people see. And there's some very weird things that a lot of people see. Do you see the Nürburgring situation with floods and landslides? Last year COVID cancelled my trip. This year, nature. I donated and I'm monitoring the situation. I saw that there was flooding, not necessarily anywhere near the Nürburgring, but I'll have a look because I would definitely like to visit the Nürburgring in the not too distant future. And I can't do that if it's not there anymore. Yeah. A slew of makeup reacts and kids and like sporting events, news, and like WWE. Firefox is not as good as it was, but has some great extension capabilities. I would agree. I had to stop. The reason that I use Opera is because I used to use Chrome for work YouTube stuff. I mean, it's Google, they've already got all my data, who cares? And then Firefox for personal stuff, like watching YouTube videos, but I encountered a problem with the way that I watch content, as I open all the videos that I want to watch in tabs and then just cycle through them. But having all those tabs open, Firefox would crash quite regularly that way. And so I downloaded Opera, which had just switched over to being Chromium based, and so it worked flawlessly. Yeah, I've been using that for watching YouTube and Plex and Netflix and stuff forever. Possibly reopening in August. Interesting. I'll check out the channel, have a look. I'm hoping that it'll help me with the high temperatures I have in my CPU. It should do, yeah. What CPU cooler do you have at the moment? Is it worth getting the 5600X over the 11400F if I may have to do editing? Motherboard price included is about £50 more, I've found. Personally, I think it could be. The other thing to factor in is that the 11400F, the majority of the performance figures you'll have seen will have been with relatively high-end coolers. When you put a lower-end cooler on it, it then struggles to boost as hard as it can, and you can't run the enhanced power limits as well, and therefore the performance gap is much bigger, and so you then need to spend a bit more money on your CPU cooler to bring that performance gap back up to where it should be, but spending a bit more on your CPU cooler then means that that price gap is a lot smaller, and so then you may as well get the Ryzen chip instead. So I think personally I would probably go with a 5600X because it is an outright faster chip, and with motherboard and cooler included, the value proposition really isn't that different right now. So, yeah. Are laptop coolers that sit underneath just a gimmick? Yes and no. The sort of ones that it's a single big fan that moves really slowly, that's probably going to do more to restrict airflow than it is to provide it, but just lifting your laptop up off the surface so that there is space to have that air flood in from the bottom, because it is normally an intake in the bottom and exhaust at the side, that in and of itself is a significant performance gain. The fact that you then may have some fans under there to assist the airflow can be a benefit in the right orientation, but just lifting it off and having ventilation underneath, just a mesh panel, it's that in and of itself is enough to give you a benefit. I upgraded and replaced my Ultra NHD 15 with an Arctic Liquid Freezer 360, together with a 3700X to a 5950X. Nice one. That's awesome. It's a decent upgrade. I assume your temperatures are nice and frosty. Did I hear something about a new Firefox being released recently? I haven't used it for years. I can't say that I've noticed anything change. I know that the logo changed a little bit ago, but not sure. Hello Mitchell, how you doing, man? I'm just about to head off. And with that said, that's kind of it really. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I'll still be here next Thursday if you want to pop back. Plenty of videos in the meantime to keep you occupied, including tomorrow night, so make sure you check that one out. And yeah, as always, links in the description, support the channel, all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. PPO works better as the AO reaches max temperature slower. Nice. That's good. Awesome. Right. Catch you guys later. See ya.